My name is Marcus Hall. 3 months ago, I fell off a scaffold while testing fall protection gear my startup designed. The anchor point on the site, not our hardware, snapped. I dropped. I woke up in a hospital with T11, T12 damage and temporary paralysis from the waist down. The neurologist said 6 to 12 months of hard rehab. I believed him. My wife, Claire, visited me 3 times in 2 weeks. The first time she cried. The second time she asked about insurance and payroll. The third time she said we needed to talk about living arrangements. I pretended not to understand what that meant. After discharge, I rolled through our front door in a wheelchair, still learning to turn without scraping drywall. The next morning, Claire brought her brothers Dylan and Bryce. They stood like a committee. "Marcus," she said in a practiced tone, "we think it's best if you find somewhere else to live." I laughed because it sounded unreal. She pointed at the stairs. "You can't get to the bedroom or main bathroom. We can't carry you up and down forever." "It's been 1 day," I said. "You're a burden now," she answered. Flat, final. "I can't be a caretaker for a year or more. That's not what I signed up for. They wanted me out by the weekend." I turned my chair to the window so they wouldn't see my face and said, "Okay, if they thought they were tossing out trash, I'd let them believe it." They didn't know what I'd been doing from that hospital bed. While I was in the ICU, my CFO, Janet, and I closed the deal I'd chased for a year and a half. Global Shield Industries would acquire my company, Safety First Innovations, for $8, $5 million plus performance incentives. We kept the team. I took a new role, Director of Safety Innovation, at a salary that dwarfed what I'd paid myself as a founder. The money hit our business account a week before I came home. We paid debts, bonused the team, repaid Claire's trust fund loan with interest, and moved a healthy amount into accounts she didn't know about. I also rented a fully accessible penthouse under my holding company's name. 2-year lease paid in full. Roll-in shower, adjustable counters, wide doors, voice control. The rehab center was 4 blocks away. It was a plan, not a fantasy. Saturday morning, Dylan and Bryce arrived to help me pack. They brought ancient packing tape, 1 dead marker, and a mountain of black trash bags. They stuffed my clothes, still on Claire's fancy hangers, into bags. They jammed books in with cords. They wrapped my custom laptop in a t-shirt and dropped it into a bag with shoes. My guitar leaned against a wall like a broom. They congratulated themselves on making good time. At 1 p.m., an accessible black Mercedes Sprinter with a suited driver rolled up to the curb. "I'm James," he said. "I'll handle your transport today." Claire stepped out onto the porch, stared at the van, then at me. "What is this?" "My ride," I said. "You wanted me gone." "I'm going." James loaded the trash bags with professional care and raised me into the van on a hydraulic lift. Claire asked how I was paying for it. I said my medical bills were covered and my finances were my business. She didn't like that answer. We left. The house shrank in the mirror. For the first time since the fall, I felt calm. The penthouse was exactly what I needed. I could roll straight into the shower. The counters adjusted with a button. Lights obeyed my voice. The balcony wrapped around the 23rd floor and looked over the whole city. The rehab center Dr. Lopez ran was a short, smooth push away. Dr. Lopez was direct. T11, T12, incomplete. Good prognosis if you do the work. Will you do the work? Yes, I said. I'm the angry type. Anger can be fuel, she said. Use it. I did. 3 days a week at the clinic. 2 more on my own in the building's gym and therapy pool. Parallel bars. Standing frames. Bands. Braces. Forms and micro movements that made me feel like a toddler learning to walk. I set petty goals. 1 more rep for every slight. 1 more minute for every time someone wrote me off. I called them revenge reps. The work hurt, which meant it was working. 2 weeks after I moved out, my old neighbor Leah called. She has the bluntness of a retired detective and the social reach of a suburban CIA. "Marcus, it's Leah from Maple Street. Don't hang up. You need to know what's being said." I listened. "Claire's telling everyone you're at a special facility," she said, the air quotes audible. "You're getting top-tier care, and she made the tough choice to give you space to recover." Leah snorted. "She's throwing a barbecue for Dylan's promotion this weekend. You should hear the way she sells it." Leah texted me a running commentary. The rental furniture, the string lights, the catered salmon. At the party, Claire told people I was doing remarkably well considering and that I needed space. Dylan accepted a watch and applause. Bryce drank and talked crypto. The neighborhood nodded at the story. I could have rolled up and blown it up on the spot. It would have felt good for 5 minutes and changed nothing. I had a larger plan. Janet and I scheduled a press release for the following Sunday. Acquisition details, my new role, a photo of me in the Global Shield boardroom, and a note about how the accident sharpened my focus. Good Morning America booked me for Monday morning. The rehab ramped up. Dr. Lopez moved me from standing frames to gait training. I went from 5 feet between the bars to 20. She told me not to rush the wheelchair. It's a tool, not a prison, she said. I believed her. Still, I kept picturing myself walking into the next chapter, literally. On release morning, I woke before my alarm. At 8 miles a.m., the press announcement hit the wires. Within minutes, it was on business sites, tech blogs, and LinkedIn. The photo did a lot of the work. Suit, wheelchair, contract, competence, not pity. My phone lit up. Old colleagues, college friends, recruiters. Leah, all caps, then, does Claire know yet? By 10 a.m., the answer was yes. Leah could see Claire pacing through the front window. Dylan and Bryce pulled into the driveway for an emergency meeting. Claire texted me, "We need to talk." I ignored it. Then, "We had no idea about the deal." "You should have told us." Dylan, "Dude, congrats. We should celebrate." Bryce, "Bro, that number is insane." I left everyone on red. Monday at 6:30 a.m., I was in the GMA studio. Robin Roberts was kind and professional. We covered the acquisition and the irony of a safety CEO getting injured. I kept the tone plain. "Setbacks show you who's in your corner," I said, looking at the camera. Some people step up. Others step back. Sometimes being thrown away is the push you need to roll forward. Afterward, the clip circulated. A hashtag about not being a burden trended. The conversation expanded beyond me to workplace injuries and accessibility. It was bigger than revenge, which felt right. That afternoon, security called from the lobby. "Your wife and her brothers are here? Send them up?" "Sure," I said. They walked into a space built for the life Claire claimed didn't exist for me. Wide, light, independent. Dylan looked at the view. Bryce stared at the kitchen. Claire stared at me. "You could have told us," Dylan said. "Would that have stopped you from packing my clothes into garbage bags?" I asked. Claire softened her voice. This was her negotiation mode. "We can fix this, Marcus. Come home. We'll make the guest room accessible. We made a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting milk," I said. "You called me a burden. You told the neighborhood I was at a special facility. You hosted parties in the house I paid for and rewrote the story. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." "It was complicated," she said quickly. I was scared. I panicked. "You were clear," I said. "And so am I." I handed them a brochure for a foundation I'd just launched, Grants for Injured Workers' Rehab Needs. "If you want to help someone, help them," I said. "They didn't marry you." They left 20 minutes later. On the way out, Claire tried one more time. "We said in sickness and in health, Marcus." "You added an asterisk," I said. I just read it more carefully this time. After they were gone, I wheeled onto the balcony. The skyline was bright. Emails kept coming. Speaking invitations, partnership notes, alumni newsletters, friends I hadn't heard from in a decade. I answered what mattered and ignored the rest. Rehab continued. The wheelchair stayed close because Dr. Lopez was right. It was a tool. But the distance between the parallel bars kept growing. I switched to a walker for short spans. A therapist handed me a cane to practice balance. I fell a few times. We kept working. Leah called now and then. "The neighborhood finally saw the news," she said one evening, amused. "Most of them didn't know where to look when I mentioned your TV clip. Claire says she's happy for you and hopes you can be friends." I told her to go be friends with the truth. I laughed. "Thank you for being on my side." "I'm on the side of people who do the work," she said. "You're doing it." Global Shield asked me to visit plants and speak to crews. We redesigned training modules to include workers who'd been injured. We added features to our gear based on my new perspective, buckles usable with limited dexterity, clearer tie-off indicators, smarter anchors. Engineers listened harder when I described what it feels like to fall and what it takes to get back up. One morning after a long session, Dr. Lopez grinned. You just cleared 30 feet with a cane, she said. You know what that means? More work, I said. Exactly. On the way home, I stopped in the lobby cafe. The barista knew my order by then. A man in a suit held the door. Little things that add up when you're relearning a life. Claire texted occasionally. Short messages. Can we meet? I'm sorry. We can fix it. I kept my responses shorter. No, please contact my attorney. I wish you well. The divorce moved along. She didn't contest. I signed where my lawyer pointed. Clean lines, clean break. People asked me later what the turning point was. What shifted this from a revenge story into something else? It wasn't the press release or the TV clip. It was the first day I walked from my bedroom to the kitchen with a cane, set the cane against the counter, and stood there long enough to make coffee without holding on. 10 steps, then 8 back. Simple, private, real. I messaged the team a photo of my coffee and the cane leaning on the island. Progress, I wrote. They sent back a storm of thumbs-ups and heart emojis. Janet called to say she was proud of me. It meant more than the headlines. A week later, I gave a talk at a regional safety conference. I told the room the plain version. I fell. I got hurt. People I trusted stepped back. I did the work. I got help. We sold the company because the product was good. Now the work is bigger than me. If you run crews, make safety simple, not clever. If you get hurt, you are not a burden. You're a person who needs tools, time, and respect. No crescendo. No slow clap. Just people taking notes and nodding. That's enough. On a quiet Sunday, I wheeled out to the balcony with a cup of coffee and watched the city breathe. I thought about the house that wasn't mine anymore, the boxes that were really bags, the suits in my closet, the cane by the door. I thought about the sentence that started it. You're a burden now. It turned out to be wrong. I'm not a burden. I'm a builder. I lost a marriage. I kept my work, my team, my spine, damaged but healing, and my willingness to show up. If there's a lesson, it's not clever. Do the work. Find people who do it with you. And when someone decides you're too heavy to carry, let them set you down. Then move on. Roll, walk, crawl toward the people who will meet you halfway. Thanks for watching PLS. Like and subscribe.